Here it comes. Matt, the old superb owl. Here we go. The 55th big game is this weekend. 55. A game this big deserves a big prize, not just some trophy. Yuck. To finish off the football season, DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook, and is giving all players a no-brainer of an offer. To celebrate football's finale, DraftKings Sportsbook is doubling your money if a touchdown is scored in the big game. My God, that usually happens. I feel pretty good about that one. So, all it takes is one touchdown to be scored Sunday night, and boom, your money is doubled. Sounds like a no-brainer to me. And as if this game wasn't enough reason to party with double the cash you'll be celebrating till next season. Don't forget about DraftKings Big Game Prediction Challenge with up to $55 million in total prizes up for grabs and instant prizes for everyone who enters the contest. DraftKings has paid out over $7 billion to its players since 2012. So they know a thing or two about big paydays. I had some drool. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code THPN to get a shot at doubling your money if a touchdown is scored in Sunday's game. That's promo code THPN to get a shot at doubling your money during Sunday night's season finale. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, New Jersey, Indiana, or Colorado only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/prediction-challenge-DFS for details. Gambling problems? Call 1-800-GAMBLER, or in Indiana, 1-800-9-WITH-IT, or in Colorado, 1-800-522-4700. Now, folks, I completely messed up and had us muted at the beginning. This is episode 16 of Red Wings Rant. So, you don't know that because I'm going to edit it, and you'll never know. We're in season 2, where tirades and impassioned pleas about your Detroit Red Wings finally have a home. That's right. Matt didn't remember that in the first go-around. Now, before we get too deep, before we start talking about the Detroit Red Wings and how we're doing against the Florida Panthers and all these fun statistics and analytics that you guys just go gaga over, we have to let you know there's a whole nother podcast for you to check out, and that is the Blue Notes pod from the Hockey Podcast Network. So sit back, relax, and we're going to have you take a quick listen to what they've got going on.
And now, the starting lineup for your Blue Notes podcast. Tom Franklin and the man called Wags.
Hello and welcome to Blue Notes. I am one half of your Blue Notes team, Tom Franklin, joined by my teammate, the man called Wags. And we are your home for St. Louis Blues coverage on the Hockey Podcast Network. And that includes expert analysis, whether it's at Enterprise Center.
When you're fighting for spots for the playoffs, 1 or 2 points could make the difference. And we'll be looking back at games like tonight here at Enterprise Center as lost opportunities.
Or at home.
Penalties, that was a big piece. You know, you're wearing down some of your best players because they're out on the ice for so many penalty kill opportunities. Just a complete breakdown.
Blues first round pick, Jake Neighbors.
Braden Shan texted me, and then the head coach, Craig Berube, reached out as well, and Ryan O'Reilly as well. And then the next day, on day 2 of the draft, Tarasenko FaceTimed me, so that was pretty cool. So.
And we're the only hockey podcast in the Hockey Podcast Network to have a Hawaiian hockey correspondent. The Hawaii Blues fan, Guy Bensing.
In true Dan Kelly fashion, Dan Kelly says, F you, Keaton. I know who's the starting pitcher for Game 4 of the World Series. You damn well know who the starting goalie is for Game 4 of the NHL season. And then walked away.
And we have a musician, too. Not only is he responsible for this fat beat you're listening to right now, but he has also performed absolute works of art.
And it seems to me you played the game with a candle to your rear, never wanting to leave the ice set in.
So check out Blue Notes wherever you get your podcasts from. New episodes every Monday and Thursday. I'm Tom Franklin, reminding you to not be a chump, listen to Blue Notes, and always play to the whistle.
A reminder that you can follow Blue Notes on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Blue Notes Pod. I'm the voice of the Blues, Tom Calhoun.
All right, it's still a Red Wings show, guys. Just had to. Jesus Christ! All right, yeah, we're back. Yeah, that was a long one, huh? Good gravy. All the St. Louis Blues shows are the same length as ours. It's just their commercials are a little bit longer, apparently. All right, so we're back in it, Mike. Hey. Did you have fun tonight? I did. Now we have to talk about Red Wings. We just saw Edge go bell to bell. Wrestling fans know who I'm talking about. If you listen to U2, you might be a little confused. The professional wrestler named Edge, he won the Royal Rumble. He came out from number 1, outlasted 29 other competitors to win. Man, his hair has never looked better. His spear has never looked spearier. I can't wait to see him at WrestleMania. But, well, I'm not too sure about how accurate those comments were about his hair and those spears, but I think the thinning of the hair made him quicker on the spears. I think it actually was a benefit, if that's what you're alluding to. Yeah, I mean, this is something where I think that there's some element of this excitement from the Royal Rumble we could still relate back to the Red Wings, because this is getting it's already to the point in my head where I made the choice, like, all right, Red Wings go on the back burner tonight, and that's the long and short of it. Mike, we have 2 things we podcast about. One of them had its second biggest show of the year, and with the Red Wings going down again, putting in a good effort, but that power play is still looking like poo poo. I feel like I'm okay to say, like, this is the psychological element to it. This is the philosophy or however we want to dive into this, but it's getting it's already wearing thin because this is already getting to the point where the tweets are getting tired. Like, we're already to that point of we're telling ourselves, hey, we put in a great effort, and now what? I gotta say, we gotta start putting some pretty juicy offers on the line if by the grace of God, the Red Wings managed to score more than 2 goals. Yeah, I mean, this. We talk about the expected goals for every episode now. There's a mathematical calculus to this, by the way, that Matt's probably going to explain. But my expected goals is usually 0 or 1, and sometimes 2. I don't expect to see a third goal, probably the rest of the season, Matt. Well, the thing of it, Mike, is that the expected goals does not take into account those special teams. So it's starting with, like, whenever we're talking about these numbers, and the normal way to do it is you're looking at those 5-on-5 numbers. So how do you see these scores like go so far past what the expected goals say? It's because of special teams. So I think that's where this conversation needs to go from here, because we had two losses to the Florida Panthers where I confess the first period I was on the road. I tweeted about it, and we got a nice little message from Ken Kell where he said, enjoy. Because I said, I'm excited to listen to Ken Kell for the first time this season. And then I realized later when he tweeted enjoy, the thought popped in my head where he's like, I don't care that it's your first time listening. I'm here every single game. This is my, what a treat for him to know that I am listening. Woohoo! Enjoy. I'm not going to. Somebody, please. Matt, here's my question. I was going to say, just to the point of me bringing him up, the first period, without me watching it, and we're recording now, to try and get this under the wire for our deadline for the Hockey Podcast Network. But that first period sounded great. So I'm basing a lot of what I'm going to say about like eyeball tests on the ear test today, for at least for that first period, because that's the numbers say that was our best period over these last 2 games. And it just sounded great. I mean, Ken Cal, Paul Woods sold the hell out of it. They were telling me the first 5 minutes was full of scoring chances. We were just missing some. It should have been like 3, maybe 4-0 at the end of that period with some of the chances Larkin and Mantha were getting. Of course, Larkin put one in, but more so. So I just I had to put that little asterisk on what we'll continue to talk about. But Mike, you sounded like you were winding up for a joke, so I probably ruined another one.
No. You really enhanced what I'm about to say. So no need to worry there. No, I would say that the Red Wings at this point are they probably have a face for radio, if I may. You probably don't want the audio and visual options. You probably just want the audio.
Yeah.
For one thing, if a goal does go in, the sweet falsetto of Ken Cal, I think, is better than the grunt of Ken Daniels. So I think not only are you getting a better audio experience for your ears by listening to the radio, I think you don't know if he's mailing it in and even telling the truth, and that's okay. It's okay at this point to kind of live in a fantasy world. And Ken Cal, another dominating game by Detroit Red Wings. My goodness, were they up and down the ice? They were scoring and playing some defense.
You were more Paul Woods. You were more Paul Woods than Ken Cal.
And the Red Wings lose a heartbreaker here, 15-2, and we'll see you next game for the Carolina doubleheader. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if he's actually painting an accurate picture based on what you're listening to, but on TV for the second and third periods, from what I could see, was the same sort of shenanigans we've seen so far. Particularly when we learned that one of Blashill's moves today was to bench Dylan Larkin for a while.
All right. Well, let's get into. I want to start at the top of these numbers because that's we were talking about the power plays, but we do know that to go to your point, Mike, with Larkin and Mantha, some of it and getting benched from a power play perspective, some of it actually goes back to some of the things we were asking for. So I can't get too mad at Blashill because that would be I would be a hypocrite. We basically said if we took a look at Dom, we said loose chicken. If we took a look at Dom Loose Chichen's models, we were still supposed to finish dead last. So that's him from an analytical approach saying what our team could put together wins wise. So I know you put a whole nother team together with those players, things should look different. I think we're all pretty happy with the improvements we made, but I bring up that model all the time of Dom's because it tells a pretty accurate story. It's something that he tries to tell everybody every year. Yes, there are asterisks that come with analytics, but this is the only thing I do with my life is work on this model to make it better. That's all he does. So the point being is that we were pretty far from anything that was perfect. We were pretty far from anything that was going to be good. We were far from anything that was going to contend for a playoff spot from an analytical perspective. And now that we're 10 games in, I think we could pretty much say there's still a lot of problems on this team. Where it looks like we're close in some periods, but we're losing. So we'll talk about that in a second. So to finish up with Larkin and Mantha being benched, I'm not as mad as everyone else is because there's another element to this nobody's really discussed yet. And I'm wondering if this is like them making the case for not necessarily like think about from like a manager's perspective. He's got to make the right choice of what moves to make to change, your coaching staff or your players. So now I'm hinting where I'm going. This is basically Blashill going, if you think this is the right system and this is to Dan Bylsma, then fine, put somebody else in there. And the long and short of it is, I think we're not figuring out, but this is just getting that proof that this is the wrong power play system. It hasn't worked for a couple of years. And while we've already made the case that it makes no sense to get rid of Blashill, and from a COVID perspective, it doesn't really make sense to get rid of Bylsma either, because then they're going to be running with two coaches for a while, and that's really going to shorthand this team.
it's just something where moving forward into the future, they absolutely know. Like Bilesma is not like that next choice. He's not a good option either. I think we were all kidding ourselves when we picked him up, and he's been sitting on the bench, and we're like, hey, there we go, option number 2 in case things don't work out with Jeff. It's just, I mean, if anything, that's the silver lining to take away from this, is that move could be used as that example. It's the proof that we are really far away from anything in a special teams perspective being useful. Now, numbers wise, Mike, to continue that special teams conversation, why did we lose when we won the expected goals competition over the last 2 games? We won expected goals 2.84 to 2.23 combined in the last 2 games. Power plays, Mike, for Florida. And we remember how well the Stars just did. Power plays for Florida, 4 of 7. The Wingdings.
Wait, for us? We were 4 of 7?
Nope, for Florida.
Oh, the other team did really well. Okay,
Yeah.
I got you. All right, and Detroit went.
For.
Oh,
We don't even. I mean, it was 7.
We only had 7 attempts. I mean,
Right, the exact same amount.
oh, wait a minute. Okay, that's not good. Okay. Well,
My TED Talk's done. Mike.
so
You
there's
can go now.
there's 2 items that I want to touch on. Okay.
Ew.
One is, you're not going to win a lot of auto races with the Chevy Cruze. And the Red Wings, I drive a Chevy Cruze. Okay. I know how many races I'm going to win. It's going to be 0. Now, does it get pretty good gas mileage? Can I count on it to, ice myself to work? Yes.
Yeah.
But do I expect my little Chevy Cruze to win any power play moves on the highway? Not a single time. So it's kind of tough because we're running on basically a 4-cylinder automobile times 10, or 2 power play units. So I understand like that side for Blashill to be like, guys, I got 10 cruises out there. I'm not going to be getting any goals on the power play anytime soon. Okay, you can't get mad at me for this. However, watching that power play, whatever that strategy is, it is easily the most nauseating thing as a fan of the sport of hockey that has ever crossed my television paths. It's not just my eyeball test. If I have to hear poor Mickey Redmond get another ulcer watching our power play and him make the comment that it's one and done. Jumping Jehoshaphat, one and done again. Boy, oh boy, how many times they got to run this play? I don't really know what the play is. There's kind of a dump, but it's usually directly to the other team's defenseman, and they get a pretty clean cross ice pass all the way back to our goalie, who's basically handling it in the trapezoid again. It's pretty toothless. I don't know if it's necessarily, Larkin, you need to learn your lesson. Because I've seen a few attempts where at least it feels like if there's a spot where maybe there's a little drama for the Red Wings to put one in, it's because he's making an effort on the sides and trying to center it. It might not be the crispest pass. We're not working with Datsuk, who, is a Hall of Famer, one of the greatest of all time. But it doesn't feel like we quite have the guns to even make this work on a best case scenario attempt by Larkin. So I get that they're trying to send some sort of message. If your leaders aren't scoring on the power play, come on, do something. But the people filling in, it would be the the Glendennings of the world. It's not going to be a goal scorer. It's a gesture. I understand it, but for me, it's kind of a hollow gesture.
And there's still the element right now where those first 4 games you had a Zadina and a Fabry to flesh out this offense.
Guys who specialize in offensive skill.
Especially Zadina, where that was something even from the offseason, we were like, can't wait for the power play.
Playmaking, yeah.
And so there's that. I think, like, right now, the whole Mantha Larkin thing, I'm still fine with it because, again, it's not like we're going to sit back at the end of the season and go, man, if those two had played those 2 more games of power play, we would have racked up another 30 wins. Like, it's just, I don't know. I'm being a little harsh now too, because I know the last thing Red Wings fans want to do is tune into a podcast and then hear us talk about how terrible we are. But I mean, I couldn't. When I'm titling the thing today, I think like it's either depth or if we want to talk the talent disparity, because like if we're gonna say, and I mean this, Mantha is having a good season from like an analytics perspective, from a possession perspective.
You're going to say from a hypothetical perspective.
It's almost like that, right? If we're talking strictly analytics and no,
we're talking deep cut analytics,
right? We're not seeing like elite numbers right now. We're seeing 5 points in 10 games, I think. Maybe it's 6 points in 10 games, but like we're not seeing like the elite level production. We are seeing like the movement of the puck. We're seeing ownership of the puck from Mantha time to time. But when you're looking for like that high level talent, I think the last thing you want to do is continue to play like on your first line. You want to continue to play those games of he's got that puck possession down. I just think this is that element where when we talk about we want to hold on to those first round draft picks now to measure out like do you spend a first round draft pick to get a guy that's a legit first line forward, or are you hanging on to that hoping that you'll run into that elite level talent, that guy who is going to put it in the back of the net when he gets those chances? You're not going to, as far as we know, 2021 draft doesn't hold an Ovechkin, so we're not going to get that stick on the power play. As far as we know, maybe we'll luck into one. But we're still at that point where, I titled the episode, "The Talent Disparity is Too Much." One, because Zadina and Fabry are gone. But two, because despite us winning the expected goals for battle, we also need to start taking advantage of the opportunities handed to us, which includes the power play. And either it's our coaches saying it's not our top level talent isn't doing enough to stay on there, or they're not doing enough for them to make an argument to not experiment right now, or they're doing as much as they can, and that's not enough. So, come at me, bro. At us. Let us know, what your guys' heads are at, where your heads are at, because, the long and short of it is, the deeper we go into this season, I think how we're just going to see how important it is to make sure that we have another Zadina, to have a Zadina on the ice, to have a Fabry on the ice. And obviously that's true. You want your second line on the ice to win a hockey game. There's no argument to be made there, but you can't sit back and rely on a Mantha or a Larkin to be the only ones to get you the win right now. And I love Larkin. I love Mantha to death. But right now, you're facing a Florida Panthers team that looked like they were ready to give us at least one win this weekend, and Grice is still looking for a win, and he's playing pretty well this season, and it's still not going our way. So it's just, when do we look at this in the face and go, all right, still not lining up?
Yeah, I don't know how many times you can kind of repeat it, but it's maybe not necessarily benching Larkin and Mantha, because not a lot they can do. But it almost just seems like if there's a hot line, somebody having a few good shifts, just throw them out there. Maybe just not be as like sticking with the same 6 guys for the forwards. You'd almost just kind of have to open it up and be like, well, they had a hot first period, so you got to put something out there.
Right.
We got to ice a power play team. So get out there.
Like we've seen, and I hate that I'm about to do this, but we've seen Darren Helm in the past, Mike, get breakaway after breakaway and not be able to finish. And you could look at that Florida Panthers game and go, man, if Brome nails that
breakaway shot he got. I guess it wasn't quite a breakaway, but he just made an incredible move. Right. He had another one today.
Like 2 or 3 of those.
Yeah. It was the one yesterday though that he got almost at the end of regulation, and that would have been it. We win, we don't go to overtime. We're probably not as bummed right now. But I think it just highlights the lack of finish that this team has. And that's that true difference, right? Because there's guys out there that perform well from an analytics perspective. I mean, we look at Luke Glendening game after game and go, wow, his line's performing really well from an expected goals standpoint. And that's because he prevents a lot. He wins a lot of faceoffs. He was like close to 70% a week ago. So that happens. But we also know we're not going to put Luke Glendening on the first line. He's not going to be on the first power play line. Like that's kind of where we're coming from here. And I'm not saying, obviously Mantha has more offensive talent than Glendening, but gosh, are we getting to that point? And I think we need to start. We talked about it last season, and then I pulled back and I said, all right, I'm being a little too harsh on Mantha, or wherever that conversation was going.
Yeah, I mean,
but it's already, I'm feeling it. I want to bring it up again.
Yeah, I just there's 2 things, right? If you're a Red Wing fan, okay, do we have any skill? You would probably see it when you have a man advantage and we don't score. So no, skill level's still pretty low. Is there effort? Are there less instances of those?
The effort is insane.
Awful Avalanche games where it's just suddenly, a 1-0 game is suddenly 5-1, 6-1, and at least
not the Colorado Avalanche,
right? Not the actual hockey team out of. At least if you're competing and you can point to this expected goals for, that's an effort stat, I'd say, if you're playing better on 5-on-5. So at least it's something that you can stomach until the special teams units have to go out there. Then I would have picture in picture. And
so here's one of the things we're waiting for as we're wrapping this show up. I was discussing with the professor on Twitter. He's at Pete Rohrig. That's Roehrig. He was bringing up using the D-men on the rush. So I was taking those notes from the game 1, and we discussed a little bit on Twitter. And the professor's an absolute joy. Trying to hook myself up with that Xbox. So I just got to kick up my allowance from the wife. But Mike, believe it or not, Stetcher and Mark Stahl were the leading D-men on expected goals for in that first game. And I qualified it by saying they were also first in individual expected goals. So from that perspective, if you were just going to say, oh, they were probably out there while Mantha's line was out there, and that's why their expected goals were elevated. No, they were actually doing some of the work themselves. So that individual expected goal statistic is in reference to their production towards the expected goals for that entire line for the team, yada, yada, yada. So I do like that element being mixed in. And I just want to say, like, this is the positive note, right? So this is where our conversation went on Twitter. If they can figure out a way to make this team generate more scoring chances, and sure, we haven't finished them as we've seen. Sure, yes, and 1,000%. Mantha scored in that game. And you can't legitimately go to every game and say, Mantha, you got to score 4 goals every game, man. But I think we're in agreement that there were some pretty juicy chances that were not capitalized on in the last couple of games. And you kind of just hope that when those pop up, you do take advantage. So here's where this is going. Mark Stahl, again, was that leader. Here's where the hope comes from. Just take out little Mark Stahl. I think we all know, is gone, and put in Moritz Seider. Can you imagine the way that Seider's playing right now in the SHL? I know, and this is something the professor made sure he brought up because this is where our conversation went. It's a massive step up to go from the SHL to the NHL. But that's still a guy that's skating silky smooth. The numbers that he has right now, these are from Prashant Dyer. They're literally off the chart. He is the definition of an outlier with every statistic in the SHL. And it's like shots generated, zone entries when he's on the ice, and stopping shots, stopping chances. It's all just this one little dot over in the corner is Seider all by himself. And then there's the rest of the SHL. So from that perspective, and also from a coaching perspective, because obviously that's their decision to push those guys up on the rush. I think, there is some hope. And I wonder, too, if we are going to get to see Seider. I think that's where we get to see a little bit more hope, is just crossing our fingers that we might get to experiment with Seider at some point. Because if they can be successful with Mark Stahl, that we all looked at and said, cool, I'm glad we picked up a draft pick in that trade. Nobody said, thank God we picked up Mark Stahl.
Ooh, man, cutting to the core on that one.
Nobody would say, thank God we picked up Mark Stahl, but that's the easy sub right there. That's where, when you're looking for hope, like, we can sit here and poo-poo the season, and we might have to for a while.
I think we just jumped to conclusions. I would keep our top expected goals for guy, Mark Stahl. Maybe send Hronek over to Sweden. Let him learn how to play hockey.
Yeah, that's true. His numbers aren't so hot like we talked about in the last episode. Go check that out.
Hey.
Red Wings Rant, episode 15. Mike, when we come back for episode 17, we'll be dissecting game 1 against the Tampa Bay Lightning, who are 4-1-1 right now. Mike, that first game is at 5:30, so we'll be covering that game when we record Wednesday night. Yeah, wow. Who knows?
I don't even think the evening news is starting at that point. It's really early.
The game today, the Red Wings actually tweeted out, it started at 5 in honor of the $5 hot and ready. I was like, really? Wow. All right. Good for you guys. And then 5:30 on Wednesday, and then we'll prep you guys for the Friday game. But yeah, the Tampa Bay Lightning started out pretty hot, lost a couple games to Columbus and Carolina, and then they're back on their winning ways against Nashville. The PDO right now suggests they're a little bit hotter than they should be, and that's because of their save percentage right now. The on-ice save percentage measured at .949. League average is .908 right now, so they have quite a pit to fall into. However, Mike, we know how talented the Lightning are, despite not having a Kucherov. The 8.3% shooting percentage is a little bit lower.
Does that extend beyond what you just said?
Yeah.
Do people say, do the hockey national writers say they're coochless?
Yeah, it's no
coach-free locker room.
They're coming in with an 8.3 shot percentage, a little below league average of 9.8. The expected goals for is there. They're top 10 in expected goals, top 3, I think, in high danger scoring chances for percentage. We don't want to measure just those chances they've created because they're a little bit short on games played. Whoops. And I have Bobrovsky's stats there. Okay, so that's not going to help us too much. But we talked about that save percentage for the team, so we'll go by that. So it's just going to get tougher. We know this is the defending Stanley Cup champions. But if they can drop a game to Columbus and Carolina, who we competed with, and I would say more from a strategy perspective from Jeff Blashill's coaching decisions. Again, we're not touting Jeff Blashill. We just want you guys to, pump the brakes a little bit on saying that this team sucks because of Jeff Blashill. Anyway, we found some wins.
No, it's years of mismanagement. Lack of, tending the garden of youth, Blashill is just playing with the fruits of those looms.
He should have never accepted.
However fruitless they are.
He should have been developing talent in Grand Rapids.
That's his fault.
For
not turning more chicken shits into more chicken salads, I say.
When he locked into getting Tyler Bertuzzi on his team, who developed him again? Anyway, I
forget.
Anywho, it's not looking great. Mike, do we have, speaking of Jeff Blashill, do we need to end the show with a fun little game involving Jeff Blashill and Paul Woods?
Man, it has been a dire day for Red Wing hockey. But who's here to rescue us? Ladies and gentlemen, friend of the show, Paul Woods, to play Who's That Pokemon? Now, what I do is I pluck a quote out of context, and sometimes I read it. Usually Paul Woods reads it. Today, we need Paul Woods today, now more than ever. So, Matt, we're going to change up the game today. Usually we pluck a quote from head coach Jeff Blashill, but instead we have a player doing a little self-reflecting.
I threw you off a little bit. That's where that came from.
Yes. Matt, are you buckled in?
Hey, I'm going to do a quick Google search like I usually do when we're in.
Wait a minute. I didn't know you Google search these every time. We got to start playing this game and
Hands up.
more often.
All right, hands up.
All right, Matt, clock it in here. It's legendary voice of your Detroit Red Wings, Paul Woods here. Definitely not Ken Cal, who I sounded a little bit like before. All right, so here's player X. Matt, we're going to hear him talk about himself here, and let's see if you can guess who it is. If I could get a couple shots a night, just some grade A chances, I know I'm going to build some confidence. If I get 2 to 3 shots on the power play, and then 2 to 3 shots on 5-on-5, then it just moves forward from there. So Matt, much like Louis Anderson in Coming to America, is if he can just start washing lettuce, pretty soon he's doing the fries. And then after the fries, he makes assistant manager.
Well, I know we got to wrap up, so I'm not gonna hem and haw. It's the top. It's one of the top 3 guys. I'm hemming and hawing. It's Tyler Bertuzzi.
Matt, much like your Royal Rumble prediction today.
Oh shit!
Wrong-o! Man, it was Anthony Mantha doing his best Louis Anderson impression.
I told myself it wasn't gonna be Mantha.
Mantha washing lettuce. That's all he wants. And that was another exciting game of Who's That Pokemon?
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Dang, this is going to take forever. I got to edit this thing and send it over in the next 20 minutes. All right.
Got it.
Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you guys on Thursday. Woo!